I want you to imagine something. Imagine going to sleep not knowing whether the silence of the night will remain silent or be shattered by gunfire. Imagine learning to distinguish between the sound of fireworks and the sound of bullets. Imagine measuring distance not in kilometers, but in how far you are from danger. Imagine holding your breath every time a door closes too loudly, every time a car backfires, every time a child screams in play. For many people, war is a chapter in a history book. For some of us, it is a season of our lives. In 2024, during the Mozambican civil conflict that affected my community, war stopped being a headline and became a reality I had to live inside. And what I learned is this: war does not only destroy cities, it destroys time, it destroys childhood, it destroys trust, and sometimes it even tries to destroy hope. Let me walk you through what that really means. Before conflict reaches you, you feel predictable. School schedules, family dinners, future plans, arguments about small things, homework, chores, what to watch on television. They all feel certain. You worry about exams. You worry about birthdays. You worry about what to wear. Those worries feel heavy until war redefines what heavy means. War interrupts that certainty. In 2024, I remember how quickly routines disappeared. Conversations changed. Instead of asking, "What are you studying?" people asked, "Is it safe where you are?" Instead of planning months ahead, families plan day by day. Instead of saving for a holiday, we save for an emergency escape. You start noticing small changes first. Fewer people in the streets, shops closing earlier, whispers replacing laughter. And then suddenly, everything feels fragile. A phone ringing late at night becomes terrifying. A neighbor packing becomes a signal. A distant rumble becomes a question you're afraid to answer. War takes away the illusion that tomorrow will be like today. One of the most haunting aspects of war is not always what you see, it is what you hear. Every loud sound becomes a question. Every unexpected movement becomes a threat. Even when you're not directly in combat, you live inside tension. And tension changes you. It sharpens your senses, but dulls your peace. I remember how even moments of quiet felt heavy. Silence no longer felt calm. It felt uncertain. Because in conflict, silence can mean safety, or it can mean something is about to happen. I learned to read silence the way others read news headlines. War teaches you to be alert, but it also teaches you what it means to lose the comfort of feeling safe. And once you lose that comfort, it is very hard to find it again. When we think of war, we picture collapsed buildings, smoke in the sky, broken infrastructure, but the deeper destruction is invisible. It is in the child who stops dreaming about becoming a doctor because survival feels more urgent than ambition. It is in the parent who carries silent anxiety so their children do not have to see it. It is in friendships strained by displacement and uncertainty. It is in the way a familiar street suddenly feels foreign because danger has rewritten the map. During the 2024 conflict, I saw how quickly fear could change people. Some became stronger, some became quieter, some became distant. Everyone carried something heavy. War. War fractures communities in ways that are not visible in photographs. Trust becomes fragile, stability becomes rare, and the future, something that once felt guaranteed, becomes a question mark. This is not a small thing. This is not rare. According to the UNHCR, More than 117 million people worldwide were forcibly displaced from their homes due to conflict, violence, persecution, and instability. The International Committee of the Red Cross adds that the number of conflicts globally has surged to around 130, double the figure reported earlier this century. Now consider those who never even cross a border. According to the Internal Displacement Monitoring Center, a record 83.4 million people were living in internal displacement at the end of 2024, the highest figure ever recorded, and more than double the number from just 6 years ago. The number of people displaced by disasters alone in 2024 was nearly double the annual average of the past decade. This is the crisis in our world. These are the headlines we scroll past. But let me bring this home because this is not an abstract for me. In my country, Mozambique, the situation is devastating. According to the OCHA, between 10 and 17 November 2025, attacks by non state armed groups triggered a surge in displacement. By December 3rd, over 107,000 people had been displaced across multiple districts. Total displacement in just 4 months reached 330,000, and nearly 9 out of 10 of those fleeing had already fled at least once before. They barely had time to recover when they again had to leave due to attacks or fears of attacks. Worse still, according to the Paola Emerson, head of OCHA, Mozambique, a vast majority of those displaced are children. 67%. More than 1 million people have been forced to flee their home in Cabo Delgado over the past 8 years. The United Nations reports that grave violations against children increased by 525% between August 2024 and July 2025, including widespread abductions and the recruitment of children by armed groups. Two-thirds children. So when I say war destroys childhood, I'm not speaking in metaphors. I am describing what the statistics already prove. There is another battlefield that rarely makes headlines: the battlefield inside the mind. Even when the noise fades, the tension lingers. Even when the streets are calm, your body remembers what fear feels like. You flinch at unexpected moments, unexpected sounds, for months afterwards. You struggle to fall asleep without a plan. You check exits in rooms that are perfectly safe. This is not just my story. A scientific review published in the journal Psychiatry Research in December 2025 found that in war zones, civilians have high rates of PTSD, major depression, and co-occurring anxiety disorders, and that depression often persists for many years after the war has ended. In Mozambique's Shuri district, 77% of newly displaced people reported experiencing symptoms of psychological distress. War does not end when shooting stopped, it echoes. For many who experienced the Mozambican conflict, recovery was not just a rebuilding structure, it was about rebuilding a sense of security, rebuilding a confidence in tomorrow. And that takes time, years, sometimes a lifetime for others. Here's something important: war also reveals something powerful about humans: resilience. I saw neighbors share food when supplies were uncertain. I saw families open their homes to those displaced. I saw young people continue studying by candlelight, even when conditions were unstable. even when the roof had holes, even when they had lost everything except for determination. In the middle of destruction, humanity refuses to disappear. That is something war cannot fully erase, and that is something worth protecting. You might be listening and thinking, that's far away from me. But war is never just local, its effects ripple outward through migration, economics, global security, and shared humanity. More importantly, the emotional cost of war reminds us of something universal. Every person values safety. Every parent wants protection for their child. Every young person wants a future that feels possible. When war destroys those basic desires, it is not just a political event, it is a human tragedy. One of the most dangerous things we can do is treat war as normal. It is not normal. It should never feel routine. It should never feel acceptable. It should never feel inevitable. Because when we normalize conflict, we lower our expectations for peace. My experience during the Mozambican conflict taught me that peace is not simply the absence of gunfire. Peace is the absence of opportunity. It is the ability to plan ahead without fear. It is the freedom to dream without interruption. We often associate strength with power, with weapons, with control, with dominance. But real strength looks different. Real strength is choosing dialogue over destruction. Real strength is rebuilding when it's easier to retreat. Real strength is refusing to let trauma define your future. The destruction of war is immense, but the power of human resilience can be greater if we choose it. I stand here not as a historian, not as a political analyst, but as someone who has felt the weight of instability. And if there's one message I want to leave with you, it is this: war destroys more than buildings. It dismantles certainty, it interrupts dreams, it alters identities, and it also clarifies what matters most: safety, community, hope. And perhaps the greatest lesson of all, peace should never be taken for granted. Because for some of us, peace is not an abstract idea, it is a memory we are still trying to rebuild. I would like everyone to repeat with me: our power, our planet, our peace. Thank you.